Randumb Rants. Like and subscribe. See, it's getting a little serious, right? Today, you guys are getting a 2-for-1, right? 2-for-1 from Rants. We're going to do a bio, in a sense, right, of a legendary side character. You know her as Theo's girlfriend, Justine Phillips. She was a cutie. Around the way fillet. Cutie. But she wasn't one of those, hood girls. No. She lived in a nice neighborhood. Because how do we all know that? Because she went to school with Theo. She knows Theo, right? This is the bio episode of Justine Phillips. And then we're going to spin it off to Never Make a Promise, which is actually a continuation of a video that I've already done. Yes, please, you guys, I am begging you, before you watch this video, please go ahead and watch that Randumb Rants Theo's Dirty Laundry episode. Do that now. Because everything is going to make sense. Everything's going to make sense, right? And this deals with a lot of trauma. This is, oh man. Let's just start. We're going to do it a little different. Right? When do you guys remember Justine? Because I can tell you when I remember when we first saw Justine, right? When we first saw Justine Rants, me and my man, the prom episode. It's one of my favorite Cosby episodes, right? And because of that, I am going to breeze through it because you're getting a whole episode on just the prom, right? You know that, right? Season 4, episode 22, Cosby Show, right? The prom. It's the first time we ever seen Justine Phillips, right? You got Theo, Denny, and Smitty. My man, Jewish Smitty, right? You guys know him, right? He goes to prom with jeans on. He goes to prom with denim on, right? But that's neither here nor there, though, right? But they, they originally wanted to take a stretch limo, right, to the prom and impress their prom dates. But then they find out that another student has a better limo than them. And then they like, we're going to rent the helicopter for 30 minutes, It's a classic episode, right? But anyway, that leads to their prom date's hair getting messed up, right? Then they had the caviar. They were perping, right? They had the caviar, right? And they didn't have any crackers. And Theo, he's in the car eating soup spoons full of caviar, right? And he's vomiting. It's a disaster, right? None of them gets lucky, but we gonna discuss that later, right? But this is the first time we actually see Justine, right? Now, we see Justine, I want to say, throughout, 6, 7, maybe 8 episodes, right? And it's, I want to say, from season 4 to season 6, okay? We're only going to touch on 3. One already being one that we already did, which is Theo's laundry. I have to touch on that to get to the latter part, right? But 2 classic episodes. Season 5, episode 20, Theo's Women. Do you guys remember this episode, right? This is when Theo meets Jade, the dramatic actor chick. You guys remember, right? And she asks Theo to play the male part so she can go over some lines, right? And Jade, who is an artist, she's serious about her craft. She asks Theo to get physical, meaning he's going to have to kiss her, right? And this is also the episode where we meet Justine's roommate with the bad foot. And I want you guys to understand, some of you guys may already know. But Rants give it to you. He don't sugarcoat it. This is real life. Okay? This is real life. In college, right? If you are lucky enough to have the cute roommate, right? Well, trust and believe, she's going to live with someone who may not look as attractive as her, or may have some type of wild malfunction, let's just say, with them, right? This is real life. And I know y'all thinking, well, Rants, it sounds like you're projecting a little bit. Did this happen to you? This isn't about me. You guys are worried about the wrong things, okay? Okay? Now, let's just stay on topic. Now, understand, Theo should have already had one of his friends, to take one for the team so they could knock down the roommate with the club foot, let's just say, right? It's only right, And, of course, that wasn't the case, though, right? And, of course, while they're going over the lines and kissing, Justine and the Hayden roommate walks in, right? And of course Jade tries to tell Justine, we was just going over lines, but Justine is furious. And Theo tries to explain himself, about how Jade was just trying to get him to show his emotions, and how that can help their relationship. And I kind of understood where he was coming from, but Justine just wasn't trying to hear that, right? She's not trying to hear it. She starts crying and everything and asks Theo, how could you do this to me? You embarrassed me like that. Like you kissed another girl in front of the whole damn dorm, Theo. She's embarrassed by this, right? At the end of the episode, they don't even make up, but it's implied that they do, because we see Justine on every episodes, right? And I guess I got to touch on this one episode too, right? It's another classic episode, season 6, episode 17. Not everybody loves the blues. Yes. Now this episode starts off, Theo and Elvin, they're in a jazz club, and Theo tells Elvin, Justine, she's going to grad school, and that's not a good thing because chances are she's going to go out of town. See, understand, by now Theo is 19, and he's been going with Justine for 2 years. And Theo even asks Elvin, he's like, when did you know you was going to marry my sister Sandra, who looks nothing like the rest of the family, right? And Elvin says, oh, I knew when I first saw her. And Theo is telling Elvin, he's too young and he wants to be a poon hound. But of course, at the same time, Theo still wants that love that he grew up, seeing his parents share throughout the Huxtable household, right? And we also see legendary blues singer Riley Jackson in this episode, right? Yeah, he just so happened to be cool with Theo's grandparents, and he stops by whenever he's in town, right? So Theo asks him, if he was married and whatnot, and Big Riley says, yes, I've been married for 44 years. And Theo asks him, when did you know you would marry your wife? And Big Riley, he was known to slang pipe in the 50s. In the 1950s, yeah, he was a plumber, let's just say that, right? But then he became a blues singer, right? And he tells him, he's like, he tells Theo, I knew I was going to marry my wife when I first laid eyes on her. Similar to what Elvin told Theo, right? And Theo proceeds to tell him, I've been with my girl for 2 years and I don't know if I want to marry her. He can't relate to it. He's still telling Mr. Jackson, I'm too young. I considered marrying my girl Justine, but, I don't know. And of course, now we're at Mr. Jackson's concert. Riley Jackson performs his blues songs, right? And Justine walks in, and of course, Theo is excited. Who wouldn't be? This girl is beautiful, gorgeous, and after the concert, Theo talks to his parents, and he's asking them, he's like, I just don't know, I don't know if I want to settle down with Justine. And Claire and Cliff, they're like, huh? Have you talked to Justine about this? Matter of fact, does Justine want to marry you? And Theo's like, well, we never talked about it. Yeah, and Cliff is like, yeah, has Justine ever mentioned that she would like to have your kids and live with you for the rest of her life? Theo's like, actually, she's never mentioned that. And then they like, you know what? Maybe you're the one that wants to get married, Theo. And you're trying to project that on Justine. And Theo's trying to back away from it. And mind you, Justine just so happened to be in the living room. Theo leaves from talking to his parents, right? And he's stumbling, of course, and he's like, hey, Justine. And Justine's like, yes? And Theo's like, never mind. She's like, okay. And they walk out and they leave, you know. And, of course, Cliff and Claire, they're looking at it like, you know, they're just looking, right? And, of course, this leads us to Theo's dirty laundry that I've already covered. But we're going to briefly talk about it right now, right? You guys already remember, Claire calls Theo's dorm, and she puts together that Theo is living with Justine due to the laundry that they find in Theo's dirty clothes, right? And Cliff, of course, asks him about it, and he admits it and says he's going to live with her regardless of their support or not, right? And the next day, we see Justine walk into the coffee shop and tell Theo, hey, Theo, my dad is looking for you. And Theo says, but your dad always got along with me. He took me to the Knicks game that one time. And Justine says, yeah, that won't be happening again. Right? And remember at the end of the episode, Cliff kicks out Theo. And we find out that Theo is living at Justine's house. And Justine is at her apartment, you know, on campus. And Cliff says, yeah, Mr. Phillips, you know, didn't mind Theo living there because now when we don't know where Theo is, he knows exactly where Theo is at. Now understand this. This is the last time we see Justine Phillips on the Cosby Show. And I know, right? A lot of questions have to be answered. They have to be answered. And that's why you got me. That's why you got rants, right? And this is when the trauma gets in, you guys. I'm so sorry. This is when the trauma gets in. All right, now understand this. Yes, Theo and Justine, they were a couple. Okay, Theo was living over at Justine's house. Justine was living on campus, right? Okay, now let's meet Justine's parents, okay? Got Mr. and Mrs. Phillips. That's Hutch Phillips. And then we got Michelle Phillips. Yes, Justine's middle name is actually Michelle, right? So we got Justine Michelle Phillips. We got her mother, Michelle Phillips. And then we have Hutch Phillips, right? Oh man, you guys know where I'm kind of about to go with this, right? I already know you guys know, right? Because you guys saw the music video. But I'm just trying to get you guys to understand. Theo is living there, and it's just like we said in the show. Hutch knows where Theo is at now. See, there's a secret, unfortunately, in the Phillips family. Hutch has an issue, an SA issue, if you guys understand what I'm saying. And he has been SAing his daughter for years. And it's at the point, I get it. You guys gotta understand. You guys gotta understand. It's not 2026. There's no internet. Okay, the world is much smaller. Okay, it's a very sensitive subject, right? This whole part is very sensitive. Understand that he told Justine, yeah, if you tell anybody, I will delete you, you know. And you know, of course he's overprotective over his daughter, but if she gets older, right, and she eventually messes with Theo, right? We've already broke that down. Now, like I said, wow, Mr. Hutch he knows where Theo's at now. So whenever Theo, of course, isn't with Justine, he's just casually asking Theo, hey, Theo, I see you back. You know what, Justine's back? Yeah, you know, she's back in the apartment. You know, Hutch might eat, spend 2 hours in the house and whatnot, but then he leaves to go check on Justine, let's just say, right? We're just going to say it like that, right? But understand this, right? You guys don't see Justine. It's like 2 more seasons of the Cosby Show. We get cousin Max, and you know we get all of them in there, right? Get with Charlene, we get all of them in there, right? But understand that Theo and Justine, they eventually break up. See, Justine just didn't know if she could trust Theo. It's always been in the back of her mind. See, she has trust issues. Her father grapes her, basically. You know, her father enjoys fruit salad with her, and they eat grapes. I'm not trying to make a joke out of it. This is YouTube. You have to make this somewhat entertaining, even though this is not an entertaining thing, right? But yeah, they just drift apart. They grow apart. You know, I know you guys wanted them to be together, but it's just not a perfect world. It's not a perfect world. The Cosby Show ends in 92. You know, and the relationship is over by like 93. I'm gonna tell you, you know, after they break up, she tried to get back with Theo, but you guys gotta understand, her mother Michelle, she ends up unfortunately catching breast cancer. She's getting sick, you know, and this leads Hutch, Papa Hutch, of course, to become depressed, and he's drinking. You see, he's showing up to the hospital filthy, smelling crazy. And Justine, she moves back in the house. I mean, she doesn't want to. It's the trauma. She knows what can happen. But she moves back into the house. Right? And it's to help her mother out. Her mother is now doing the hospice stages of her life now. I want you guys to understand this. Theo and them knew nothing about this Phillips secret. Okay? They didn't know nothing about this. Okay? They never knew anything about it. She kept this secret. This was hidden. She took this to her grave, and we'll get there. I don't want to spoil it, but we'll get there, right? Oh, man. Oh, it hurts me. I'm so sorry, because you got to break it down. This is what I do. Right? So, Miss Michelle passes away. Unfortunately, she loses her battle to the breast cancer, right? Justine just got out of college. She does not have any job. She does not have anywhere to go. She's forced to move back with the SA demon himself, Hutch. Now she meets a big guy by the name of Jazz. Jazz can sing. Jazz is in a popular R&B group by the name of Dru Hill. Jazz started in a fudge shop in Baltimore and sung his way out of McCullough Homes. Yes, Jazz is from Pennsylvania Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland. Everybody knows this, right? The whole group is. And Justine's messing with Jazz, and granted, I believe this is what, 96, right? And just so happens she gets pregnant. You guys remember the first scene of Never Make a Promise, right? Yeah, because now we're drifting into that, right? Now we're drifting into the video. The first scene of Never Make a Promise, she's telling Jazz, you know, I'm pregnant. And Jazz is excited. He's like, oh, wow, I'm going to be a father. She's like, yes. You know, and she's, you know, she don't know what to, you know, she doesn't know how to feel. She's first time being a mother, right? And Jazz is consoling her. It's like, it's going to be okay. I love you. And then we see Jazz. I don't have to think about I never been loved. Well, I only dreamed about I wonder what it was. I mean, like, y'all know the song. Y'all know the song. I'm a singer, but y'all know the song. But we see Justine walking past her father, and Hutch is a creep. You know, he's still drinking, and he's still feeling grapey, and he's looking at her in a crazy way. She's walking to her room. You know, she's thinking like, well, eventually I'm going to move with Jazz. You know, he's going to be a famous singer. Everything is going to be fine. You know? And I mean, she closes the door on her father. She has locks on her room door like it's an apartment door. Right? And you see Hutch. Oh, come on, baby. Come on, Michelle. That's her middle name, but he's so drunk he calling her his wife's name. Come on, Michelle. Come on, open the door, baby. Filthy creep. But at the time, you don't even know what's going on. See, I told you, and of course you saw the video, but when you first saw the video, you don't even know what's going on. And you see Hutch. He's like, come on, open the door, baby. Come on. I'm not going to hurt you. We got something special now. Come on, we got a relationship between us. You see Justine crying. She had to deal with this all throughout the 80s. Lord knows. You know, she's just going through hard times. Lord knows why she even moved back in this house. You know, but she just doesn't know any better. She has trust issues. She's, you know, people make crazy decisions, you know. And we go back to Jazz fat self singing his tail off. I'll keep you satisfied. I'll be your sunshine in the morning. Be your everything at night. And then we go to the hook, of course. You told me what you wanted. I gave you what you need. I told you that I love you. Make it good for you and me. And I never make a promise that I can't keep. Y'all remember? And that's one thing. Let's go back to Theo. That's one thing that Theo always would do. Theo isn't perfect. Theo was famous for making promises that he could never keep, right? And Jazz was big on that because she would always tell Jazz, like, yeah, my last boyfriend, Theo, I loved him. I really thought he was the one, but I just don't know if he was big on commitment. He just couldn't even keep his promises, you know. But Jazz, he's chubby. He's a teddy bear. He's fat. You know, he's Jazz. He can sing, right? And while that hook is playing, while that legendary Dru Hill hook is playing, oh my goodness, we see Hutch breaks into the room. He breaks into the room and he proceeds to grape his daughter, Justine. Hutch is a sick individual. He's a sick individual. You know, I used to watch this video as a kid and never knew what was going on. It's so gruesome. We're going to just move past this, right? You see him, he's leaving out the room. Justine is crying. She's crying. She's taking a shower. She's crying. I'm going to be honest. I hate to say this. We don't even know if that child is. And you know what? Yeah. Let me just stay on topic. Now we get to Justine's family cookout and we see Jazz and Dru Hill show up and Cisco has a pet tiger. Like, why are you bringing that? We know you're the lead singer, but this isn't your song, right? And Jazz shows his boys an engagement ring, right? Because she's pregnant with his child. And of course, Nokio gives him a congratulations hug. But he's a poon hound because he did Angie Martinez dirty, right? But that's another video for another day, right? Now we see the father. He does the prayer before the dinner. He's sitting there. He's like, hey, everybody, I'm so so happy everyone could be here. You know, me and my daughter Justine, we lost our lovely companion, my wife, her mother. You know, we love grapes. And it's like, what did it have to do? Like, yes, God loves grapes, everyone loves grapes, and he brings up grapes like 17 times throughout this prayer. You guys don't even realize that he's starting to make everybody uncomfortable, right? And of course, after Jazz eat, because Jazz, he a heavy brother, he's going to eat, right? He tries to talk to Justine, and they get into a verbal altercation. You know, Justine is dealing with a lot of stress, you know, with the, essay and whatnot, right? And Hutch is drunk. He's looking at all of this. Now, fast forward, and we see Hutch trying to break into Justine's room again, and luckily Justine calls Jazz to come over ASAP, right? And do y'all know Hutch breaks into that door like this man was desperate. It's crazy. He grabs on Justine. He's like, come on, baby. Have some grapes with your daddy. Come on. But what he doesn't know is Justine called Big Jazz and told him to come ASAP. Come here ASAP. And Jazz, big ass, running there like Jerome Bettis. And what hit him, this is what I always thought, always appeared to me to be like the claw move that Mankind used to use on WWF, right? But nonetheless, he hits him very awkwardly, right? Knocks Hutch on the ground. And he takes Justine. And what do you think happens after this video? Like, be realistic. What do you think happens after this video? They don't want to talk about this part. But yeah, Hutch deletes himself. Because he's a creep. He's an SA. PDF is like they like to call him, right? He deletes himself. Yeah, and now Justine has to deal with that stress, right? And that causes Justine to lose the baby, right? And oh God, this leads to her getting sick. And of course, she passes away to stomach cancer, right? Rest in peace to Justine Phillips. But I will say this, Jazz, he always kept his word with that girl, She told him what she wanted. He gave her what she needed. He told her that he loved her and made it good for both of them. But I'm going to tell you this though, Jazz, he never made a promise that he didn't keep. Randumb Rants. Like and subscribe.